Hello, my little geeky friends. We are back to talk about another anime here on Geeks and Barbells, where we meander around and just talk about whatever floats my boat, whatever enters into my little noggin and makes me feel happy. So today, I wanted to do another review. This one will be, as much as possible, I'll try to keep it spoiler free. So this is Arifureta, which is from Commonplace to Strongest in Japanese. I think it's Shokugyo de Sekai Seikyo. I probably butchered that. I'm terrible at speaking Japanese, actually. Although I've been watching anime with English subs for my entire life, and I still suck. But granted, I've been speaking French for 32 years, and I still suck at that also. So I think I'm just... The brain is not very language heavy in here. So this will probably be one of my harshest anime reviews because I think there was so much potential in this anime, and it falls into so many of the tropes that unfortunately have been driving me banana splits ever since I was younger. And of course, as I've gotten older, they've bothered me more and more and more. So Arifureta is basically about typical trope where a bunch of kids are pulled from our world into a fantasy land and they are the chosen heroes. Unfortunately for Arifureta, when the first episode airs, this is done in such a messy fashion. Extremely messy. Nothing is really explained properly. You see some little flashbacks where the kids get pulled in, they get explain the situation, but why they're the chosen heroes, how they have their abilities, why the world is like a video game in some senses in terms of how they can see their stats and their skills. It's never properly explained. So that to me is an immediate no-no. I don't find this stuff kind of acceptable as we've gone along because even if I'm a younger person watching the show, I want some kind of explanation about why things are the way they are. It's kind of the difference between a soft magic system and a hard magic system for those who don't know those terminologies. So a soft magic system would be something like, people might disagree on this, but like Lord of the Rings, where Gandalf does magic, but it's never really explained. It just kind of happens. It's flashy and boom. Hard magic system, there's lots of rules and regulations and explanation. And many anime, they fall into this trope of like sort of turning their magic system into a game in terms of how it showed out, but never explaining why it's like that. How is the world having magic like that? Doesn't make any sense. But, it's an anime. We'll accept it. We push along. And then the anime has this... Arifureta has this potential to really, really showcase some great character development with its main character being betrayed and getting stuck in this very, very dangerous environment where he needs to survive. And he used to be this kind, gentle boy, and now he does this 360 spin where all he cares about is survival, and he will kill anybody or anything that gets in his way to survive. Unfortunately, again, the pacing is done so badly in the anime, even with flashbacks, it's very scattered. It doesn't advance in a proper fashion. There's sudden jumps in terms of the strength of your characters that you're following with no understanding or character development or relationships. So you don't really give a shit about anyone in the episode. Even by the end of the anime, most of the other side characters in the show are completely undeveloped and don't really matter in the slightest. So you would hope that at least the main protagonist would be someone who you really, really enjoy watching. And he is enjoyable to watch to a certain degree because he can be extremely brutal and callous, but at the same time he does care and has quite a bit of loyalty to the people he decides to keep around him. His strength is a little bit overpowered, but at the same time, it does get to be a little bit, we will say, skill-based in that how he takes down his enemies and whatnot. To try to lean over in terms of like a more positive thing, the drawings, like the illustration, how colors are used within the anime, even the music, which has a very jazzy feel to it, kind of gives a very, very fun, like, kind of popping beat to it that allows you to really get into the combat scenes, which are pretty fluid. They're very flashy, I will say. You don't really get to see some amazing, like, fight scenes. It's more so that it's very, very flashy, very magic based, and then with a mix of technology that's very, very cool. So that's one positive to this anime, but the story just holds it back so much. It's so tropey without having anything really unique to it, and the main character's development, which is really the only thing it has going to it, it falls short on so many levels, because a character, if he is on his own and is going to develop to become a very strong person, his interactions with the people around himself, have to make sense as well. Unfortunately, this anime, like many do, falls into the same trope of you don't realize it at first. You think he's just going to be like this solitary individual, but again, this becomes an ecchi-filled harem anime where he meets, of course, a typical vampire, and then a bunny girl, and then a dragon girl, and they all are sexually lusting after him and obsessed with him for no reason really whatsoever. And again, like many anime, the main character notices that they're interested in him, notices that they're making huge sexual advancements, but for no particular reason whatsoever has zero interest in any of the women. I've said this before, I'll say it again. I have no problem with there being sexuality within an anime, especially one that has like violence and more adult themes. But for some reason, the Japanese just don't want. They have this like really big enjoyment about throwing women at their main character and making the main character have no interest, or even show interest in a character, but yet he never acts on it whatsoever. And this is just pointless. It makes the sexuality of it, the ecchi of it, it makes even the relationships developing in terms of like emotionally or romantically pointless, because they never go anywhere. There's this constant awkwardness and just no advancement. There's simply no advancement. And this happens in too many goddamn anime. It drives me nuts. It really does drive me nuts. And especially when I see an anime like this where the world looks like it would be really interesting. For those who haven't seen it or are going to see it, like, this a little spoiler. So there's these labyrinths that the characters are going through where they need to reach the bottom floors to get specialized magic. And they're actually really cool concepts. The labyrinths are cool concepts. The builders of the labyrinths, those are very cool concepts. Also the Mavericks. So there's some really interesting stuff. The magic system has some interesting facets to it. The main character has facets to him that might turn into something interesting, but the fact that it's just bombarded by tons of side characters who serve zero purpose whatsoever, and then the closer side characters to the main one are just there to be tits and ass that don't serve any purpose, because he's not going to hook up with any of them. He's not with any of them. They're just boobs and ass, which is unfortunate. It is unfortunate when this keeps happening over and over and over again within anime. It's frustrating. It really is. It's as someone who I love anime so much, I love the potential that's there. I really wish these things would stop happening, because I wish, I don't know if it's because the Japanese studios think that we need to have this stuff just to become popular, which I don't think is true anymore. If you look at the most popular anime out there, like Naruto, One Piece, like, sure, there's a little bit of ecchi in there, but barely any in the grand scheme of how many episodes there are within those huge productions. There's almost none. And those anime are hugely popular. And the other anime, which are massively popular in terms of just pure combat and more adult themes, have almost zero ecchi also. So there's a constant theme, we'll say, where the most popular, well-to-do anime have little to no ecchi. And yet these studios keep making these relatively cool, basic foundational stories with some good characters and then ruining them completely with just the same stupid crap over and over again. So overall, I would say that Arifureta is still enjoyable to watch. You know, I still made it through, but it would have been much better, much better if a lot of these things were simply removed. You know, I'd much rather see just more male side characters and no girls whatsoever in a show if they really just cannot figure out a way to do the women without like turning them into ecchi, or if you're gonna make the women be there, make them have absolutely nothing sexualized about them whatsoever, and only sexualize someone when there's actually going to be a purpose to it. Stop making these protagonists that for some reason are like asexual all the time, because there's no purpose in showing a main character who's going to find a female character attractive or react in a way where it's just like, oh, I see boobs, and act all shy, but then never ever react to it. This is not how a 17-year-old male reacts to a girl throwing herself at him again and again and again, especially not someone who's that strong and that like in control of himself. It just doesn't happen. So that's my thoughts on this. This is much more of a rant against the studios than it is anything else, but like I said, I would still check out Arifureta. It's still enjoyable in its own way, just for what it could potentially have been. So check out my other videos. I've done a review already on Demon Slayer and also on am I blanking out on ReZero, Starting Life in Another World. I do talks on books. I am going to be having more talks on health and also gaming. I'm a little bit all over the place, and that's the point of Geeks and Barbells, really. It's really just wandering around, talking about the entire creative sphere and how internally, externally we can like make everything more awesome. But I will definitely be doing a shit ton more anime reviews and really delving into them more deeply as time goes on. Hope you enjoy. Like, subscribe, leave some comments, let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the industry, the studios. Am I the only one who's going crazy about this stuff, about all the potential that's being lost? Let me know. Check out the website, GeeksnBarbells.com, and I hope you all have a no corona-filled week and enjoy yourself. Later.